If we could please take our seats so we may get started. Okay, if there are any non-voters in the hall, please find your way down front to this lower section. Any non-voters in the hall must be seated on my left to your right in this section. Anyone sitting here, you will not have your vote counted. This is for non-voters. Would the tellers please come forward and count the number of voters in the hallway? Tell us if you would take a quorum count, please. If everyone will please be seated. If you will hold your cards high over your heads. In order to be counted, you must be seated. You must have your card held high. Do not put your cards down until after you have been counted, and the tellers will let you know when they have finished counting your row. In the lower right, front section. Section 135. I want to just check to make sure that mic is on. In the right section.
Section 2, 34.
Section 234.
Tap on it.
You can blow in it. Well, you can blow in it, but if you tap on it, it's not going to make it work.
Section 3, which is the center section.
82.
82, 82. In section 4, which is on the left,
Section 4, 41.
41. We have 192 voters in the hall. We do have a quorum. I will call the meeting to order. I will ask the town clerk to read the posting of the warrant.
Good evening. Commonwealth of Massachusetts, Plymouth SS, to either of the constables of the town of Wareham, greetings. In the name of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, you are hereby directed to notify and warn the legal voters of the town qualified to vote in town affairs to meet in Precinct 1, Wareham Town Hall, 54 Marion Road, Precinct 2 and Precinct 3, Dudley L. Brown, VFW, 4 Gibbs Ballpark Road, Onset. Precinct 4 and Precinct 5, John W. Deacus School, 760 Main Street, South Wareham. Precinct 6, Wareham Lodge of Elks, 2855 Cranberry Highway, East Wareham, on Tuesday, April 5th, 2011, at 8:00 a.m. for the election of town officers designated in the official ballot, to be adjourned until Monday, April 25th, 2011, at 7:00 p.m. in the high school auditorium, 7 Viking Drive, Wareham, Mass., at which time the general business of the town shall be transacted, and to act on the following articles.
We will waive the reading of the warrant.
You are hereby directed to serve this warrant by posting attested copies thereof on or before Friday, February 18th, 2011, in at least one public place in each precinct within the town, and by publishing a copy of the warrant on or before March 18th, 2011. Hereof fail not, and make sure due return of this warrant with your doings thereon to the town clerk of the time and place of said meeting, given under our hands this 15th day of March in the year 2011, Wareham Board of Selectmen.
Thank you. We will now have the presentation of the colors by the Wareham High School JROTC. Please stand. We will now pledge allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States. We will now have the singing of the national anthem by Sergeant Correa.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous
We want to thank Sergeant Correa for that beautiful rendition. Sergeant Correa has been on the Wareham Police Department for 17 years, 6 years as a detective, and was just recently promoted to sergeant. We want to thank him for doing that for us. I would like at this time to introduce our new deputy moderator, Mr. Joseph Ashley. Our newly elected chairman of the Board of Selectmen, Mr. Walter Cruz. And our selectmen, Mrs. Ellen Begley, Mr. Michael Schneider, Kara Winslow, Mr. Stephen Holmes, and to my right, the members of the Finance Committee, starting at this end, Dick Paulson. I did. You didn't hear it? I'm sorry, I didn't. No, I said Mrs. Bagley and Mr. Mike Schneider, but maybe not loud enough. I apologize. Mr. Mike Schneider. And the Finance Committee, starting on this end, Mr. Richard Paulson, Mr. David Trudell, Chairman Donna Bronk, Mr. Robert White, Mr. Frank Keith, Mr. Sam Gray, and Bonnie Catulli. We also have on stage our Town Administrator, Mr. Mark Andrews, and Town Council, Mr. Richard Bowen. I would also like to recognize Mr. David Smith, who's a newly elected assessor. And at this time, I would like to ask for a moment of silence for our very well-respected, departed Dr. Charles Gleason and Mrs. Gleason, who have contributed so much to this town. If we could just have a moment of silence. Thank you. I have just one more announcement before we get started. I've been asked to say thank you to the town of Wareham for hosting the Southeast Regional Meeting of the Mass Moderators Association this past February. Along with myself, the moderators from Scituate and Falmouth co-chaired the organizing of the meeting, and there were 15 towns represented. And the moderators were very happy to be able to have something in this area rather than having to drive to the western part of the state. One of the outcomes of that meeting was an idea that I'd like to move forward with, and I've had discussions with the superintendent of schools and with the headmaster of the high school, and that's the implementation, hopefully, of a town meeting within the high school where the students will elect their own moderator. They will have their own town meeting. They will write their warrant and articles. They will take a vote, and the outcome of the town meeting will be presented, or the high school meeting will be presented to the headmaster for action or no action. So it's a project that I'm looking forward to working with the administration and the high school on, and hopefully we'll be able to move forward with that. Okay, town meeting needs some rules to govern its meeting. The duties of the moderator and the government of town meeting, not specifically provided for by law, shall be determined by the rules of practice contained in Robert's Rules of Order, the 75th anniversary edition, town meeting time, town meeting tradition, and those rules set forth by the moderator. Also, in accordance with Mass General Law, Chapter 39, Section 15, whenever a 2/3 vote is required by statute, such a vote may be declared as such by the moderator without a count and be recorded as such by the clerk upon such declaration, provided, however, that if 7 or more voting members of town meeting doubt the vote, a counted vote shall be taken. This is in accordance with Article 12 of the October 27, 2003 town meeting, and was approved by the Attorney General in November 21, 2003. The warrant, which was duly posted in every precinct and posted on the town website, is the agenda for town meeting. Town meeting does not come to an end until all the agenda items on the warrant have been decided, either by approval, by being defeated, or no action being taken. As voted at the fall town meeting, articles tonight will be taken up by lottery. It may get a little confusing at first, so please bear with us. This is new for us as well. If we could have a little patience, we'll do our best to try to make that happen as smoothly and efficiently as possible. The moderator will ask for a motion for each article, and voters should listen carefully to the motion as stated, since the vote and the debate is on the motion. It may or may not be the same as what's in your warrant. It may be slightly different than the article printed in the warrant. To make it easier for town voters in the hall, the motion will be shown on the screen up on stage. So what you're seeing on the screen will be the motion. Following the motion presented by the Finance Committee, the moderator will allow the proponent to speak to the article. The moderator will then ask the Board of Selectmen for their vote, and then the Finance Committee for their vote and their recommendation. And then debate will be open. Voters should approach the 2 microphones on either side and be recognized by the moderator before speaking. I would like to ask that we only have 2 speakers at the microphone at any given time, and that's for safety reasons. The person speaking and maybe one person behind him, and then when the person speaks and sits, we could have another person come up. Clearly state your name before speaking, and your remarks must be limited to the content and the specifics of the article. Everyone must be civil and respectful to others. All comments are directed to the town meeting through the moderator. There'll be no calling out, no applause, and no rude behavior. Speakers on the floor should not be interrupted by others, except when a voter raises a point of order. Any person who persists in disorderly conduct will be warned by the moderator and then asked to leave. Historically, this body has chosen to allow the presenter of an article 5 minutes to speak and all others 2 minutes for discussion. I will entertain a motion that the proponent of an article be given 5 minutes to speak and that all others 2 minutes. Do I have a second? All those in favor? Thank you. Proponents will have 5 minutes and speakers 2 minutes. This is a guide. It's not a hard and fast rule. I'll exercise my discretion as the moderator in ascertaining the overall status of the issue of discussion or debate and what's been said. I will offer people respect and allow someone to finish their sentence instead of cutting them off in the middle of what they're saying. I may or may not allow someone to add 1 or 2 sentences if it's pertinent, if it's important, and yet I may stop a speaker before the end of 2 minutes if they are merely repeating something that has been said before, and this is to expedite town meeting. The clerk will make sure that we're taking care of the time up here on stage. The moderator presides and regulates the meeting, decides all questions of order, and makes a public declaration of votes. Amendments can be offered to any article being debated. To offer an amendment, a voter needs to give the text to the moderator in writing, and the moderator will recognize the mover of the amendment, and the amendment will be debated and then voted up or down before returning to the debate on the article as a whole. Reconsideration. An article can be reconsidered only on the night of town meeting in which it is originally voted. The purpose of reconsidering a vote is to permit correction of hasty, ill-advised, or erroneous action, or to take into account added information or a changed situation that has developed since the taking of the vote. After much thought and review of practices in other towns based on prior town meeting tradition in Wareham, my policy on the motion for reconsideration is exactly that. It must be moved on the same day the vote to be reconsidered was taken. It must be made by a member who voted with the prevailing side. It must be seconded. It is debatable, and it will only be permitted if there was a hasty, ill-advised, or erroneous action, if there is additional information that was not previously available, or if there's a changed situation that developed since taking of the vote. entering and exiting the hallway. Anyone wishing to leave the auditorium must use this door on my left and to your right. Please do not go out that door over on the right-hand side. It's very difficult for us to maintain the integrity of the meeting unless we only have one entrance and one exit. In the event of an emergency, if we do need to leave the auditorium, the only door that you can return by, again, will be this entrance on my left. Now, having said that, the staff of WCTV does on occasion have reason to use the rear door. They have been issued identification, and an officer will be at the back of the auditorium to verify that they are the only people using the rear entrance, and this is to protect the integrity of the meeting. So again, if you need to go in and out, please use this door. Broadcasting and recording town meeting falls within the scope of the moderator's power to regulate proceedings in his or her discretion, since the Mass Open Meeting Law does not apply to a town meeting. The moderator, keeping in mind that such recording is a privilege rather than a right, may at any time determine that the recording in a whole or a part, or take such action to control the recording as circumstances warrant. After consultation with other towns as to their practice, after consultation with counsel in the Attorney General's office, I am designating the area over to my right as a press section for the taking of photography, provided that I have been informed ahead of time that you will be taking pictures. Please remember that we will preserve the integrity of the meeting, and if that in any way is compromised, you will be forbidden from taking pictures. I'm asking you to please turn off all your cell phones, and if you feel that you need to go out and have a cigarette, remember there is no smoking on school property, and that you must leave the school property to have a cigarette. Before we begin, Article 2, Section 2-6 of the Town Charter states that all department heads shall attend the session of each town meeting for the purpose of providing the town meeting with information pertinent to warrant articles. If any such person is deterred by illness or other reasonable cause, he shall designate a deputy to attend in his place. I will now call for a roll call of the department heads. Accounting, Administration, Animal Control, Assessors, Board of Health, Chief of Police, Collector Treasurer, Community Development, Conservation, Council on Aging, Emergency Medical Services, Finance Committee, Harbor Master, Inspectional Services, Library, Municipal Maintenance, Water Pollution Control, Planning, Superintendent of the School Department. We obviously have our selectman, our town clerk. Okay, Mr. Andrews, you wish to address the body? 7:30, okay. Excuse me for 1 minute. Okay, we have a special town meeting that has been called for 7:30. So what we're going to do is we're going to open the special, and then we're going to recess the special and come back to the town administrator's statement. Madam Clerk.
Commonwealth of Massachusetts, Plymouth, SS, to either of the constables of the town of Wareham, greetings. In the name of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, you are hereby directed to notify and warn the legal voters of the town qualified to vote in town affairs to meet in the Wareham High School Auditorium, Viking Drive, Wareham, Mass, on Monday, April 25th, 2011, at 7:30 p.m. to act on the following articles.
And we'll move the reading of the warrant.
given under our hands this 22nd day of March in the year 2011, Wareham Board of Selectmen.
Okay. I need to entertain a motion to recess the annual town meeting to convene the special town meeting. I will entertain that motion. Have a second? We will recess the annual until the special action has been taken. Okay, we're going to go into the special. We were trying to figure out if we could recess the special, come to the town administrator's we're going into the special, and then I'm going to ask Mr. Andrews to address the audience.
Madam Moderator, through you, to the body, just some opening remarks tonight. I'd like to briefly present a few issues relative to the town's financial position and relative to the delay of action on the fiscal 2012 budget and other fiscal matters that would otherwise be brought before this body this evening. There are, as most people are aware, a number of issues relative to both the fiscal 2009 and fiscal 2010 audits. The fiscal 2009 audit was drafted and received 1 full year after that audit period had closed. That audit draft essentially affirmed many of the fears that the town's financial records had at that particular time. I strongly believe that the independent auditor that we have challenged to look at our financial systems, that of our independent auditors from Powers and Sullivan, have given us a roadmap to address material weaknesses and other issues relative to our financial systems. Many of those findings, as well as the Department of Revenue's report, have been addressed, are in progress, or are being addressed as we move forward. Again, we are all aware of the fiscal 2010 outside independent audit revealed serious material weakness as it relates to the financial systems and the financial deficiencies that were regarding unsupported journal entries. This material weakness called into question the current balances of the town accounting systems and ledgers. And let me be clear, as I have stated publicly, the town is not missing. There is no money missing from Treasury. In fact, the town treasurer collector has worked exemplary throughout this process. However, there is a concern regarding balances on some of the money articles, and that concern led us to recommending that we take a look at them further, and they must be reviewed to be able to be adjusted prior to any vote taking place. After a lengthy and in-depth analysis of this matter, and finding questioning on the town accountant's ability that was supported by the independent auditors, I have taken certain actions and put in place a comprehensive fiscal recovery plan that will work forward. This is critical to ensuring that the town's financial integrity and that of our general ledger, which is being reconstructed so that we can close fiscal 2011. The successful completion of our fiscal recovery plan is a top priority for your administration. The hope that we bring these articles forward and to this body sometime on about May 23rd with a strong degree of certainty that we can move these fiscal items ahead, once again, is a top priority. I will work very hard to make certain that we put these in place and that we want to also make certain that you understand the fiscal recovery plan, as I want to thank the Finance Committee for approving an appropriation of $40,000 to extend the engagement of the independent outside auditors firm of Powers and Sullivan. We have extended that agreement with Powers and Sullivan to assist in reviewing the fiscal 2010 and 2011 cash reconciliations by the town accountant's office and other issues regarding journal entries. Powers and Sullivan will not act in any way, shape, or form as a town accountant. They are outside independent auditors and advisors. The town administrator is working with our Vader Corporation, the town's electronic ledger system, to enhance and improve our town accounting system. I want to assure you that this plan will be fully implemented. I would like to thank the Board of Selectmen and the Finance Committee and this body for your indulgence. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Andrews. Does the Finance Committee wish to make any opening statement?
I move to table discussions of Articles, we're doing the special, right? Articles 1, 4, and 8 through 13, and further that the special town meeting be adjourned until May 23rd, 2001 at 7:15 p.m. at the Wareham High School Auditorium for the purpose of action on these particular articles.
Do we have a second? I have a motion before you and a second. And the intent of this is to table discussion on Articles number 1, number 4, and Articles 8 through 13. Articles 1 and 4 involve the appropriation of money. Article 8 through 13 are collective bargaining. So we have a motion before us. And we will take up the remaining articles through the lottery system. So the motion is to table discussion of Articles 1, 4, and 8 through 13. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Passes unanimously. State your point.
Community Preservation was informed that our articles 6 and 7 would be included in the adjournment until May 23rd, and those are not what was read by the Finance Committee Chair.
No. Okay.
We would like them included, please.
Donna, would you like to revise your motion to include those articles as well?
Article 6 and Article 7?
Just so moved, that Nan's motion. Do we have a second? So Articles 6 and 7 will be included as well.
Thank you.
So we have Articles 1, 4, 6, 7, 8 through 13 will be tabled until May 23rd. State your point. Please identify yourself.
John Donahue, Precinct 3. Madam Moderator, I think we already voted on the previous motion. I think we should have a separate motion to table Articles 6 and 7. And I'll so move that.
Okay. I have another motion to table Articles 6 and 7. The second. All those in favor?
Madam Moderator, Brenda Ekstrom, Precinct 2. Just for clarification, I thought we were adjourning the entire special town meeting. 6 and 7 are on the special town warrant. 6 and 7 that we're adding to this would be the budget and the Upper Cape school budget. So
No, this is on number 6 and 7 on the special.
Right, but it says that the special town meeting be adjourned until May, so we're adjourning the whole special until May. Or am I misunderstanding what the motion originally was?
No, the motion would be to table discussion of Articles 1, 4, and 6 through 13.
Madam Moderator.
And further, that the special town meeting be adjourned until May 23rd, 2011 at 7:15 at the Wareham High School Auditorium for the purpose of action on these articles.
Right, so if we are adjourning the special meeting until May 23rd, I would believe that Articles 6 and 7 of the special town meeting would also be put off until May as 1 through 13 of the special.
Madam Moderator, excuse me. Article 3
is supposed to also be held.
Okay, if you could just bear with us, let me just check with the administration. I've been advised we are not holding 3. So again, it's Articles number 1, number 4, 6, 7, and 8 through 13.
Madam Moderator, Article 3.
I have been advised by administration that we are going to act on Article 3.
The Board of Selectmen was told that that was going to be held till May. It's a money article.
Okay, Donna, I think the easiest thing to do at this point is if you withdraw your motion and we go back and we will hold Article 1.
Point of order.
Okay, hang on. We're going to have Town Council rewrite it so we have it correctly. Just bear with us for 1 minute, please.
Could I state my point of order while he's doing that?
Yes, Mr. Donahue, please state your name.
Madam Clerk, ladies and gentlemen, we've already voted on the original motion made by the Finance Committee. My motion was to table or recess or no action on Articles 6 and 7 until May 23rd meeting, in which I presume we're going to reconvene. If we want to take up Article 3 or any other article, I'd be willing to include that in my motion on 6 and 7, but I just want to restate, we've already voted on 1, 4, and 8 through 13. And so I don't think there's any need to revisit what we've already voted on. Just going forward, I think we can take care of 6 and 7. And I would respectfully suggest we vote on those now. And if we want to take up Article 3, we can address that after a vote on the motion that's on the floor.
Donna's motion. 8 through 13. How are you, Mike?
Madam Chair?
Okay, just hang on 1 second. Mr. Donahue, you're right. We took and voted on Mrs. Bronk's motion to table Article 1, 4, 8, and 13. I would consider your motion to table Articles 3, 6, and 7, and consider the other articles remaining by lottery. Would you be willing? We have 2 articles left, Article 2 and 5.
I would be willing to amend my motion to include Article 3 as long as it's not going to be controversial. I don't want it to affect Articles 6 and 7. I don't know if anybody can give me that assurance, but I'm willing to do 6 and 7. If we want to take 3 separately, if it's going to be contentious, then I'm not sure I want to amend my motion.
Madam Chair?
Hang on. Mr. Donahue, I will entertain your motion to do just Articles 6 and 7, and then we will take up Articles 2, 3, and 5 by lottery.
Thank you.
I have a motion before us and a second.
Madam Moderator? Again, my question goes to the point of information that I asked for. Articles 6 and 7, is it the intention of the Board of Selectmen and the Town Administrator to have the town budget and the Upper Cape school budget be continued until May? Articles 6 and 7 on the regular warrant, which is what we would be voting on, would be...
No, we're voting on the special. We are in the special.
Okay, but number one, the motion doesn't say that. Number two, the first motion that the chairman of the Finance Committee made said to continue the entire special. So 6 and 7 is already continued of the special.
No, I think you misunderstood.
Okay, so are we not continuing the special?
We are continuing the special. The motion was made by Mrs. Bronk to continue the special town meeting, to table the discussion of Articles 1, 4, 8 through 13, and further that the special town meeting be adjourned until May 23rd, 2001 at 7:15 p.m. at the Wareham High School Auditorium, 13. And then Mr. Donahue is making a motion. Just hang on. Mr. Donahue made a motion that we table discussion of Articles 6 and 7, and that's the motion we have before us. And then we will take up Articles 2, 3, and 5 by lottery.
So the motion of Mr. Donahue's, which is Articles 6 and 7, he's referring to the special town
Correct.
warrant that we've already voted to adjourn.
No, we have not.
Madam Moderator, that's part of the motion.
We have not, Mrs. Ekstrom. We have not. You may be seated. Thank you.
Okay, well, this is wrong.
Well, thank you, Mrs. Ekstrom. You may be seated.
Madam Chair,
Mrs. Winslow, point of order?
I'm going to make a motion. Have we voted on the other motion yet?
We already have a motion on the floor. We have Mr. Donahue's motion on the floor that we table discussion of Articles 6 and 7, and further that the special town meeting be adjourned to discuss these articles until May 23rd at 7:15. We need a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing no discussion, I will call for a vote on Mr. Donahue's motion that we table discussion of Articles 6 and 7 until the special town meeting on May 23rd at 7:15. All those in favor, please say aye. Passes by a majority.
Madam Moderator,
Mrs. Winslow.
I would like to make a motion to table discussion on Article 3 until May 23rd at 7:15 p.m. in the high school auditorium.
Second.
And just so that I can let the body know, the Board of Selectmen was advised on a list of April 7th when we met to discuss and vote on the articles that Article 3 would be held. We have not discussed or voted on this article at this point. It was on the list. It's a financial article, and it should be put off until the rest of them are debated.
We have a motion before us by Mrs. Winslow to table discussion of Article 3 for the special town meeting that has been adjourned till May 23rd. Did I hear a second? I believe I did. All those in, is there any discussion? On my left?
Cliff Sylvia, Fairfield Drive. I don't have any discussion particularly on that motion, but I would like to just make a recommendation once we vote on that motion.
Mr. Heath?
Madam Chair, Moderator, I'd like a clarification on this as well, though. It was our understanding in the presentation that was made to the Finance Committee that if this article does not pass, we will not be able to sign a contract for the revaluation, which would mean that our tax rate for next year would not be able to be set. That would cause severe complications going forward. I might ask that the town administrator address this issue.
To respond to Mr. Heath?
Madam Moderator, through you to the body. I believe we have the time, and if the Board of Selectmen would like to talk about this further, I'm fine with that too. Frank, thank you. To you.
We have a motion before us to table Article 3. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, I will call for a vote on Article 3, to table Article 3. All those in favor, please say aye. All those opposed? Passes by a majority.
Madam Moderator,
Mr. Sylvia, to what point do you rise?
I would like to have the body reconsider these last votes. I was on the affirmative on Mrs. Brock's motion, and I do agree with Mrs. Ekstrom on this instance, because once the motion was made, her last sentence was to adjourn special town meeting. I think if we reconsider that motion, I think we could really get in trouble. We've had 3 motions subsequently. So I think that if we reconsider that motion and put all of these amendments as one package, I think it will be neat and clean. And I highly recommend that we reconsider this voting.
Madam Moderator, I would be willing to withdraw my article
No,
for that purpose.
we have a motion on the floor from Mr. Sylvia to reconsider the previous motions, previous votes. Is that correct? And then what you would like to do, Mr. Sylvia, is to come back and remake the motion, including all of these at one time. Go ahead, Mrs. Bronk, do it. Fair enough. So we have a motion before us from Mr. Sylvia. Do I have a second? All those in favor? All those opposed? Passes by a majority. So now we need a motion from Mrs. Bronk, which council will advise, so that we have one motion to table discussion, do it properly, on Articles 1, 3, 4, 6 through 13. And we will only be acting on Articles 5? 2 and 5. 2 and 5. So again, the motion that they are working on will be to table discussion on Articles 1, 3, 4, 6 through 13. And the only articles we will be taking up will be 2 and 5.
6, 7, and 8 through 13, and further that the special town meeting be adjourned until May 23rd, 2001, at 7:15 at the Wareham High School Auditorium for the purpose of action of these articles, but that we act on Articles 2 and 5 now, prior to the adjournment.
Thank you, Mr. Sylvia.
Do I have a second? Okay, I think we finally have it. All those in favor of Mrs. Brock's motion, I'm going to try for unanimous so we can move on. Please say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Thank you. Now we will do by lottery Articles 2 and 5. Mrs. Sylvia.
The two of them.
Article 2 is before us.
It's right here, Dick, if you want to just read it.
May I have a motion on Article 2?
Madam Moderator, I move that the town vote to transfer $51,500 from the amount encumbered by Article 30 of the Fall Town Meeting in order to fund a collective bargaining agreement between the town and the IAFF Local 2895 Wareham EMT Association.
Do I have a second? Is there any discussion on Article 2? And I believe the reason why we can act on this is because these funds were already encumbered at the Fall Town Meeting under Article 30.
Madam Moderator, the Board of Selectmen voted favorable action 5-0-0.
Thank you, Mr. Holmes. And may I have the vote of the FinCom?
7-0-0.
Does the FinCom wish to speak to the article? Hearing no discussion, we will now take a vote on Article 2. This requires a majority vote. All those in favor, please say aye. Anyone opposed? It passes unanimously. Article 5. May I have a motion?
I'm just making sure it's the same one that I have in hand here. I move that the town vote to transfer $136,555 from the Water Pollution Control Facility Fund Balance Reserve for debt to fund balance reserve, to fund balance reserve for expenditures to fund the emergency replacement and repair of the sewer mains located at the Independence Bridge in the onset section of town in order to maintain public health and safety.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second. To speak to the article? Mr. Andrews.
Madam Moderator, through you to the body, this was an emergency repair that was needed to be done most recently. The exact number is listed. We originally had asked for approximately $200,000. Repairs are done, and this project is completed. Thank you, Madam Moderator.
Thank you, Mr. Andrews. We have a vote of the Finance Committee and their recommendation.
Finance Committee vote was 7-0-0.
That was 7-0-0 favorable action.
Favorable action.
Is there anything to be said to Article 5?
The Board of Selectmen, Madam Moderator,
Mr. Holmes?
voted favorable action 5-0-0.
Gentleman on my left.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. Bob Brady, Precinct 6. Is it possible that we could get a little bit more information as to just exactly what now this action, first of all, I've followed along on your Tuesday sessions. I'm aware that we had a break in onset on Point Independence Bridge. I know it's been repaired. It looks like we come in under budget, but yet we're taking money from a balance reserve for debt. Could we get a report from the Finance Committee or the administration as to what does that now cause that debt fund balance to do? Do we have all kinds of money in this debt balance fund? And how is this $136,000 going to offset that money? And how is it going to affect any ongoing operations at the sewer enterprise?
Madam Moderator.
Someone to answer the question, Mr. Andrews?
Madam Moderator, through you to the body, thank you for the question. Let me elaborate a little more on this. We have the Mass Department of Revenue sign-off in the Division of Capital Asset Management. As an emergency matter, this obviously would be paid from reserve funds in the enterprise fund, which is specifically for that, maintaining the enterprise and correcting issues that come up during the fiscal year as it relates to a matter of this size, an emergency. Just to add one footnote that because of, I know because of the fine work in the department, we're able to keep any effluent or any other materials from going into the bay. The project was completed. Enterprise funds are, as you know, by law, required to maintain balance, and I intend to make sure that that happens by the end of this fiscal year. Thank you, Madam Moderator.
Thank you. Is there anything further to be said?
Madam Moderator, if I might.
On my right?
Yes, Dick Paulson. I believe the question was, what is the balance in the account?
Is there anyone to answer the question as to the balance in the account?
Madam Moderator.
Mr. Andrews?
Thank you, Madam Moderator. This fund is healthy enough to cover this expense. We had set aside $200,000 for it, came in at 136 and change. And it would have otherwise been used for debt service going forward to make similar types of repairs. So we did receive state approval to make the necessary repairs and replacement of that sewer line and the balance will be positive at the end of the fiscal 2011.
Thank you, Mr. Andrews.
Madam Moderator,
Mrs. Braun.
could we ask Mr. Andrews if we could at least get a balance in that fund?
If he chooses to answer the question, Mr. Andrews?
Madam Moderator, through you to the Chairman, women of the Finance Committee, absolutely positively. Mr. Campina, are you, Mr. Gifford?
Mr. Campina? Mr. Campina, to answer the question? Don't tap it. It's on. Go ahead, Mr. Campina.
Hello. The balance before we started was approximately 2.8 million. 136,555 is coming out, and that'll be the balance that we have on hand.
Thank you, Mr. Campina. Does that answer your question, Mr. Brady?
Well, it answers the balance, yes. What I'm concerned with is that this fund, this line item is for debt, not for emergency repairs. We should have a line item for emergency repairs. So, if what we're hearing is that this fund balance for debt, only for debt, is very healthy, then maybe the sewer users are paying too much money toward this debt fund. Is that the case, and why is it so healthy? Because it should be pretty much a one-for-one, meaning that if our debt is $20 million and it costs us $1 million a year for the next 20 years to pay our debt, then that's what the fund should reflect. If we all of a sudden have hundreds of thousands of dollars extra in a debt fund, I would like to understand why that is. That's all. And that's all I've asked. Now we know we got $2.8 million in a debt fund. What does it cost us annually for debt? That would better identify the fund balance.
Thank you, Mr. Brady. Gentlemen, on my right.
John Donahue, Precinct 3, move the question.
We have a motion before us to move the question. We have a second. It's not debatable. It requires a 2/3 vote. I'm going to try for unanimous. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? I will declare it as a 2/3 vote. We will now take a vote on Article 5. The motion is to transfer $136,555 from the Water Pollution Control Facility Balance Reserve for debt to fund balance reserve for expenditures to fund the emergency replacement and repair of the sewer mains located at Independence Bridge in the onset section of town in order to maintain public health and safety. All those in favor, please say aye. Anyone opposed? Passes by a majority. Okay, that should take care of the special, and we will be reverting back to the motion that was made by Mrs. Bronk that the special town meeting will be continued till May 23rd at 7:15 p.m., at which time the other articles will be removed from the table, so should someone choose to remove them from the table. So we will now go back to the annual town meeting. Okay, we will declare the special town meeting in recess until May 23rd. I will now declare the annual meeting reconvened, and I will entertain a motion for action upon the money articles. Mrs. Bronk.
Madam Moderator, I move to table the discussions of Article 5 through 17, Articles 23 through 28, Articles 30 through 36, and Article 40, and further that these articles be tabled until May 23rd, 2011, 7 p.m. in the high school auditorium.
Do I have a second? The motion before us is to table discussion of Articles 5 through 17, Articles 23 through 28, Articles 30 through 36, and Article 40, and further that these articles be tabled until the May 23rd, 2011, 7 o'clock p.m. in the high school auditorium. Is there any discussion? On my left.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. Bill Heaney, Precinct 1. I just have a question on Article 6. In the package is a series of several pages of one-column information. When this comes back, I don't even know that it's a budget, but when this comes back on May 23rd, are we going to see a budget that's in line with what the charter requires for a budget, which is the previous, the current, and ensuing fiscal years? There needs to be 3 fiscal years here.
Yes.
Mrs. Bronk, to answer the question.
I'm sorry, Madam Moderator. Yes, Mr. Heaney, and the FinCom has already addressed that with the administration, and it will be as the charter is written.
Okay, will we, as town meeting, get to see that ahead of time? Or I mean, how are we going to see that?
That's really a question for the FinCom.
Well, I would like to say that we should be able to, can we post it in the newspapers?
Or can it be online by May 1st or something like, well, not May 1st, but May 15th?
To answer the question. Mr. Andrews?
Madam Moderator, through you, respectfully, Madam Chair, the Finance Committee, absolutely, as soon as we can get the information together, it is in the proper form per the charter. Just want to verify some columns from previous years. We'll get that information out on the website as soon as we can. Thank you.
But will that be before?
Mr. Haney, we have a motion before us to table. It is not debatable. It does require a 2/3 vote. Motion before us is to table discussion of Articles 5 through 17, Articles 23 through 28, Articles 30 through 36, and Article 40 until the May 23rd, 2011 session of town meeting in the high school auditorium. This does require a 2/3 vote. I'm going to try for unanimous. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Passes unanimously. Now we are going to go into the annual, again by lottery. Article 1 we took care of during... Excuse me? We were in the middle of taking a vote. I didn't hear any point of order or point of information. Do you have a point of order?
Yes, I do. Michelle Langford, Precinct 4. I have a question. Isn't the complete information required to be posted in writing and complete at least 30 days before a town meeting? And if it's not complete, it won't be available 30 days before town meeting, even if you postpone it to May 23rd. Are we, is this going to make it illegal? Thank you.
No, it will not, according to council.
Sorry.
Okay, we're going to go by lottery. Yeah, council will explain that.
Madam Moderator, through you to the previous speaker. There's such a thing as bare technical compliance with the law, and then there's something known as living up to the spirit of the law. Right now, in terms of presenting the budget, the town is in technical compliance with the law. There is a budget in front of you right now. There are numbers in front of you right now. Technically, had you voted otherwise, you could have acted on that budget right now. That's technical compliance with the law. The spirit of the law, I think, requires you to have good numbers in front of you. You won't have those good numbers in front of you until the accountant situation is resolved and until the auditor has gone through everything and can verify that the sources of funds are good, and that's happening right now. So your question is, technically, is this being done in a legal manner? Yes, absolutely. It's technically compliant with the law. Right now, what the administration is trying to do is working with the auditing company. Well, you can laugh if you want. You could have voted on the numbers that were there right now. That was your choice. But what the administration is trying to do with the accountant situation and with the auditor is to get good, verifiable numbers in front of you as soon as possible. So, is this technically accurate? Is it technically legal? Yes.
Thank you. Mrs. Sylvia, please draw the first article. Article 19. Article 19 is to amend the amount of local excise tax. May I have a motion?
Thank you, Madam Moderator. And I always get the easy ones. I move that the town vote to amend the amount of local excise tax imposed by General Law, Chapter 646, 3A, upon the rental of rooms in hotels, motels, lodging houses, and bed and breakfast establishments within the town to an amount of 6%.
Mr. Paulson, I believe that's Mass General Laws 64G, Section 3A.
I apologize. Yes, it is. As a matter of fact, let me amend that to General Law, Chapter 64G, 3A.
Chapter 3A.
It's Chapter 3A. Thank you.
Do I have a second? Have a second. I have the vote of the Board of Selectmen.
Madam Moderator, the Board of Selectmen voted favorable action, 2 against, 1 abstain.
Thank you, Mr. Holmes. I have the vote of the FinCom and any recommendation.
The FinComs voted favorable action, 5 in favor, 1 against, and 1 abstained. This article authorizes the amendment of the current local excise tax for the accommodations, including the hotels, motels, within the town to 6%. The town currently receives 4%. So we're looking for that additional 2%.
Thank you, Mrs. Bronk. Is there anything to be said to the question? Gentleman on my right.
John Donahue, Precinct 3. Madam Moderator, it was stated Chapter 64G, Chapter 3A, it's Section 3A, just for the record.
Thank you. Gentleman on my left.
Thank you again, Bob Brady, Precinct 6. Could anybody give us an idea as to what this represents in revenue to the town of Wareham? I can certainly appreciate that our finances are a bit askew, but to just propose increasing tax on the businesses in town, can anybody tell us what that's going to do for our budget and our revenue?
Madam
Anyone to answer the question, Mr. Andrews?
Madam Moderator, through you to the body, this extra 2%, there are increments of just roughly under $12,000 per 1%. So you're talking about a $25,000 increase. The point that I'd like to make is that not only has the funding of this has helped the town progress in a number of ways, but these added 2 points would assist us going forward as what I consider recurring revenue, however small it may be. Recurring revenue are sources of revenue that we can count on going forward into the future to help us build balanced budgets into the future. Thank you, Madam Moderator.
Thank you. On my right?
Madam Moderator, Jane Donahue, Precinct 3. I'd just like to clarify one point for the body. This is not taxation on our business. This is to be collected from the people who come to stay in our community. So they come here and they pay an extra 2% to stay in a bed and breakfast. It is not a tax on our business. Thank you.
Thank you. Selectman Holmes?
Madam Moderator, sorry. Can you hear me? I can't hear, so can you hear me?
No, not really.
Well,
Try holding it up a little closer.
there we go. While this may not be a taxation on our businesses, if we look at some previous examples here in onset, Mr. Andrews, the town administrator, appears fixed on counting $25,000 of this hotel tax satisfies our town's budget needs. As we look at some history, if you look at onset right now, Wickets is closed. So there's, 12 rooms you're not going to collect 2% on. We have a budget deficit. We don't tax our visitors to come here. All we want to do is raise $25,000 off of the backs of our visitors. So, right, we're not taxing our businesses, Mrs. Donahue so correctly states, but we need to find other streams of revenue to attract people here. Raising hotel room rates and tax rates is in my opinion, Madam Moderator, is not the way to go here in the town of Wareham.
Thank you, Mr. Holmes. Anything else to be said? Gentleman on my left.
Bharat Patel, Precinct 6. The intention of the lodging tax was to promote tourism, and that was the intention statewide. At some point in the previous few years, it was moved to general fund, and now we want to tax the tourists to balance our budget. So administration can blow it on one item, overpay someone that requires $35,000 to $75,000 and raise $40,000, and now we are looking to tax $20,000? Where is the sanity? Please keep the tax away from the businesses. This is a real tax on the businesses because it puts our town at competitively disadvantage to other towns in a neighboring town, Middleborough, Plymouth, Bourne, and make it fair. These 20,000 so-called taxes is not real 20,000 because about revenue on the hotels and motels is about $1 million. It will be about $20,000, not $24,000. And if the revenue goes down, we will collect less of the money.
Thank you. Mrs. Donahue, since you've already had some time, let me go to Mrs. Bronk. Let me give others time before coming back a second time to a previous speaker. Mrs. Bronk.
Ladies and gentlemen, the FinCom, we looked at this very, very carefully, and no one wants to set a new tax, but it's very difficult to come up with additional funding to fund the needs of the town. There are very few areas that we can get it from. And we felt that this was not going to be on the back of our taxpayers. It was going to be on the back of the people that visit our town. And it's a very small percentage, very small. So to put it on the backs of the businesses, that's not true. And I challenge you to come up and find some more financing that we're going to be able to bring to the table to ask the body to vote. Nobody wants to see this, new taxes. But realistically, we have to come up with something. And if we don't come up with something, we all here are going to be paying the additional taxes.
Thank you. Mr. Sylvia?
Yes, Madam Moderator, I do support this article. I mean, we have visitors, and yes, and I understand no one wants to tax our visitors, but basically, it's $1 on a $50 room. And I just don't see why this would be a hardship on anyone. Likewise, visitors to our community are using community services. Those community services cost us money, and I just think it would be a kind of a painless way to help our visitors pay a little bit of their share. So I think $1 on a $50 room is not a whole lot of money, and I strongly urge the body to support this.
Thank you. On my left. And please try to just keep two in the aisle. On my left.
Yes. I'm Susan Rickey. I'm chairman of community events, and I'd like to encourage a positive vote on this particular article because I'd like to remind people we have limited money coming into the town to promote our events for the tourists to be charged, you know, for hotel and motel tax. We get 70%. It comes back to our particular committee, and this is very important to us. The hotel motel tax helps us with all the events, and I'm sure everybody sitting here can think in their mind what event that they enjoyed this summer, whether it was in the village of Wareham or the village of Onset. And we need all the money that we can garner at this point in time. While it was indicated that perhaps wickets may be closed, I know that there is some interest in that particular property, and we do hope that that will move forward. But there are other places that have closed down, and we really need to be able to have these events, and this is the way it is, you know, covered. So I really would ask everybody to at least consider voting positively for this particular article. Thank you.
On my left.
Hi, my name is Teresa O'Neill, Onset resident. And one question I have is, you're looking for 6% from the town, but what are we giving, what do we charge, what is the tax that the state charges? So this is a 6% tax from Wareham on top of what the state already charges? Is there a total of what visitors are going to be charged in tax?
Someone to answer the question?
Madam Moderator, I believe that the current tax is 9.7%.
That is by the state?
That's total.
Okay, so
of
this
which the town gets 4%.
And this is going to be now, it's going to be
raise
above
it
11.
2%, so
Okay.
2 on top of 9 comes up around 11.7.
I know that we do need a lot of money. I just feel like we are taxing the people that we need to come here and spend their money, and I feel like it would be a hindrance to the tourism business here.
Thank you. On my right?
Thank you, Sandy Slavin, Precinct 3. Clarification, this 2%, I thought I had heard earlier it would go to the general fund, or is this going for a community events fund? Can someone tell me exactly what this 2% increase will be used for, generally or specifically for supporting our activities?
To answer the question?
Madam Moderator, thank you. Through you to the body. There is a set aside right now for the Community Events Committee to do its work, and I might add fine work on behalf of the town, because the events that they support do bring in thousands of individuals who use local restaurants, go and stay at accommodations in town, hopefully have some disposable income. This money is not being earmarked at this particular time. The Board of Selectmen and Finance Committee would like to make recommendations at some point. I'm happy to take that advice and counsel. This is one of the recurring revenue, one of the only left recurring revenue sources that's out there for cities and towns to take advantage of. And the split is illustrated in Article 25. hope that answers the gentle lady's question.
I'm sorry, yes or no, general fund? Yes or no, community events?
Gentleman on my left.
Stanley Andrews, Cranberry Highway. Anybody ever hear of Taxachusetts? This is just another tax. It's not the amount of money. It's another tax. Recently, our selectmen gave away the house for high wages. The school committee gives away the house for high wages. I think it's about time that we put our foot down and say, let's stop spending money. Never mind taxing money. Taxing. Let's turn around and start cutting this budget a little bit, cutting some of these absolutely astronomical, ridiculous salaries we want to pay people. And let's look at the real picture. We can't afford more and more and more taxes. We have another article that's going to raise the meals tax. So there's another tax. It's not the amount. The idea is we're taxing ourselves to death and spending ourselves to death.
On my right. Hold it. Please. At the beginning, I said we will not have applause or outbursts. I mean it. On my right.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. Brenda Ekstrom, Precinct 2. To the previous speaker, she had asked if this was going to community events or the general fund. My understanding is that the bylaw that created the Community Events Committee stated that I think it was 50% of the receipts from the pier parking went to the community events, and then I thought it was 60% or 70%, I may be wrong, but I thought it was a higher amount from the hotel lodging tax. So therefore, if that bylaw is in place and this passes, despite the wishes of the Finance Committee or the Board of Selectmen, the bylaw would take precedent, and 60% of this would be going to the community events, as one of the previous speakers mentioned.
Thank you. Mrs. Winslow?
Madam, is it on?
Yes, it's on.
Okay. Yeah. Mrs. Ekstrom is correct.
Hold it close, Karen.
I'm trying to hold it close.
Okay. Go ahead. It's working. Go ahead.
Okay. One of the things that we had discussed when and Mrs. Ekstrom is correct, that when the budget subcommittee that was formed to discuss the budget issues, one of the things that I specifically had wanted was for this article to be crafted so that the additional tax would 100% go into the general fund. It wasn't written that way. So even though I'm technically a proponent of the article, if we pass it as written, then the 60% from this will go into the community events fund, and 40% will come back of the addition, and I believe it's going up the 2%. But on the purpose of the article, the motels, and over in the BDOD, there's going to be a hotel built. And while that may not come to fruition for a couple years, these units are rented almost exclusively by businesses that come from out of town or people who are vacationing. And almost all of the Cape towns have this additional motel hotel tax. So
30 seconds.
It's not something that's going to necessarily impact each of us as taxpayers. It will impact people who come in from out of town, but as I said, it's something they're going to face pretty much anywhere they go today. Thank you.
Mrs. Catulli?
I'm Bonnie Catulli, Finance Committee, but I'm also the Finance Committee seat on community events. Mrs. Ekstrom is correct, and it was my understanding when I read this that the bylaw is actually 70% of the hotel motel tax goes to community events and 40% of the parking meter fund. So as it stands now, if you pass this, the tax increase will increase the revenue, but the percentage will stay the same. So supporting this visitors coming to this town, staying in our hotels, et cetera, going to these wonderful events. It's going to come around. It's going to promote tourism. As Kara states, the business people are going to come here. This is only an advantage. Yes, the town is also going to get recurring revenue in the general fund at the 30%. Thank you.
Thank you. On my left, and then Mrs. Donahue, I will allow you your time. On my left.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. Obviously, a much taller person stood here before. I frankly can't believe there's so much confusion on this issue as to where the money is going to go to, but I just wanted to follow up on a couple of speakers who mentioned something in the bylaws about the Community Events Committee. I was just looking for a reference to which bylaw that appeared in.
Is there anyone that can answer the question, Mrs. Catulli?
I can't quote you the exact, but I think it was 2009, if I'm correct, town meeting.
2007.
Thank you very much.
I understand the 2007 or 2009 or whatever. I'm just wondering where it appears in the bylaws. I'm just asking a question.
I guess the correction is it's not a bylaw. It was an act passed through the state to enact the Community Events Committee here in the town of Wareham.
Thank you. Mrs. Donahue, for your remaining time.
I apologize, I don't have my bylaws with me, but it is a bylaw, and it was passed by a state legislative act, and it was brought to the floor of town meeting by former chairman of the board, Selectman Potter, and he had this article passed, and this is one of the very few opportunities for any revenue, whether some of it's going to the Community Events Committee and some of it's going to the general fund or not, to come to the community and to be used for what we want to use it for. It's not a tax that the state takes and does whatever it wants to and maybe gives it back to us in local aid. That's the same thing with the meals tax. So I would encourage you again to think about $2 on a $100 a night room, and people will come and they will pay, and they're coming to go to Onset. They're not coming to go to Middleborough or anywhere else. They're coming to our community to go to our beaches. So we're not really in competition with the towns north of us. And as Mrs. Winslow so correctly stated, most of the Cape towns have this. This was passed also because of the big cities and towns like Boston. Can you imagine the kind of revenue that they're getting for their community from conventions and that sort of thing? We're going to be able to take advantage of that with our new hotel business conference center. So I urge you to vote in favor of this. You never know when the legislator giveth, the legislator could take away. So they might not give us this opportunity again. Thank you.
In order to make a motion, you need to come to the mic, state your name, and then speak into the microphone. We just can't have yelling out.
Martha Strong, Precinct 3, moves a motion, please.
I have a motion before us to move the question. It's not debatable. It does require a 2/3 vote. I will try for unanimous. All those in favor to move the question, please say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? No. Passes by a 2/3 vote. We now come on the vote for Article 19. I move that the town vote to amend the amount of local excise tax imposed by General Law, Chapter 64G, Section 3A, upon the rental of rooms in hotels, motels, lodging houses, and bed and breakfast establishments within the town to an amount of 6%. This requires a majority vote. All those in favor, please say aye. Opposed? No. Passes by a majority. Madam Clerk, our next article, please. Article 4. Article 4, may I have a motion, please?
Madam Moderator, I move to receive any reports authorized by Article 4 in the warrant.
Do I hear a second? We have a motion before us to receive any reports authorized by Article 4. All those in favor, please say aye. All those opposed? We will now hear the reports of the school committee and I believe capital planning. We will now hear the report of the superintendent of schools, Mr. Rabinovich.
Thank you very much, Madam Chairwoman, Madam Moderator, excuse me. This evening I'm going to talk about 3 areas: facilities, finance, and academic performance. If I can have the next slide, please. The mission of the Wareham Public Schools is to educate all students for life's responsibilities, challenges, and opportunities. The next series of slides will show you the schools that we currently have to accomplish this. East Elementary School, if we can go back one, please. All right, we're moving right along. East Elementary, built in 1910. It was closed in 1991. We reopened it after a renovation in 1997, and it currently has 114 pre-kindergarten students. That's where our preschool program is, for special needs and regular education. Thank you. The Ethel E. Hammond School, which is in Onset, built approximately 1916, and the addition was put on in 1953. The enrollment we currently have is kindergarten and grade 1 for the east side of town, and we have 150 children. And as you can see, in approximately 4 years, we will have the 100th anniversary of the Ethel E. Hammond School. Minot Forest Elementary, if you recall from last year's report, we talked about the need for a renovation at this facility. Currently, it was built in 1966. The addition was put on in 1974. Grades 1 through 5. The principal of the Minot Forest School is also the principal of the East Elementary School, the Hammond Elementary School, and Minot Forest. She has 3 buildings for pre-K through 5. And at Minot Forest right now, we have 529 children. The John W. Deacus School, grades K through 5, the enrollment is now 713 children, and the building was built in 1969. We had an addition put on in 1974. Also, this is a building down the road that needs to be renovated. Wareham High School, where we are this evening, grades 9 through 12, enrollment of 771 young adults. This building was completed in 1991. We have a roof that needs to be redone in this building, as well as windows. But besides that, it's in pretty good condition. We opened up a alternative junior senior high school, the Wareham Cooperative School. This was opened after renovation. Some of you remember this was the old playhouse. It was left in disrepair. The school department renovated this building and opened it in 2001. The enrollment is currently at 134 young adults. Wareham Middle School, grades 6 through 8. The old high school that was built in 1952. We had an addition put on in 1958, and our renovation was completed in 2005 with the new wing enclosing what was the oval that now is a quadrangle in the middle of the building. Next slide. West Wareham Academy. This was closed and reopened. Grades 7 through 12, enrollment of 16 specialized students. This building was built in 1914. It was closed in 1991 and reopened 1996, 1997. Finances. For the last 5 years, going from 08 to 12, you will see that our average increase in net school spending is 1.22%. Anybody that runs a household budget knows that your increase is way above that percentage. The only way that's happened is by cutting this budget year after year. Next slide. This slide shows the percent over and under minimum net school spending for Wareham compared to the state average. Notice we start back at Ed Reform 1993. We're both on the same playing field. We go below, they go above. They continue to rise. We are below for a number of years. We have begun to increase, but the gap, as you can see, is large. Next slide, please. The comparison between last year's budget, when you look at it, and this year's budget is made more difficult because of different grants that we have lost money, EduJobs and federal stimulus money. When looking at that budget and then looking at our achievement scores, we need to decrease the achievement gap. In order to do that, we need to decrease the spending gap. Minimum net school spending is not adequate spending to close the achievement gap. Non-net school spending. This is where our transportation budget is. Also, if we look at 5 years, it is a negative 2.4% increase. We have many fine people working in our transportation department that service our students and families. We need a capital plan, which I know you will hear about coming up, to replace at least 5 vehicles per year. Next. Academic performance. 73% of our graduating seniors are attending school this fall. The following chart shows what our graduates will be doing this fall. 49% went to 4-year colleges. 22% went to 2-year colleges. 2% went on to other schooling such as technical schools. 4% went into the military, and 23% went into the world of work. Some of the schools that you see below are some of the colleges that our students were accepted to and are now attending. The Wareham Public Schools and the Massachusetts CPI aggregate trends. If you all know about MCAS, if you take an average number of points from each MCAS score of all of the children in the school system, you come up with Wareham's score, and the same thing for the state, and it's on a 100-point scale. So you can see the blue, the dark blue at the top is English language arts for the state. The light blue underneath it is for Wareham. You can see that we are approaching, but this last year the gap was opened a little bit. But when you see the later scores, you'll see English language arts, we are at a high performance area. Not so in mathematics. The state started low and Wareham started low. We are both gaining, but at a slower rate than we should be. And I don't believe any of our students in Wareham should be below the state average. Okay, thank you, Matt. AYP, which is, and I apologize for all the letters, adequate yearly progress. The idea was by 2014, as part of the No Child Left Behind law, every child would be having a performance above the average to be proficient. So in aggregate, which means all of the students put together, for English language arts, each year we have met our goal and are moving towards that 214 goal, but not for all subgroups. And subgroups are broken down by low income, by racial groups, and so you'll see on another thing down below, we have English language arts, NCLB status, no status, because we have a performance rating of high, and we've had no change in our improvement rating. Not so in math. If we look at the AYP history for mathematics, starting in 2007 and 8, you'll see in 9, we did not make it for the aggregate, but in 10, we did again. It is getting harder and harder as we move up closer to 100% proficient. All subgroups, we did not make it for all subgroups in mathematics. We are in corrective action, which means that the state looks at all of the grants that we put in. They have a say in what we do in our school buildings because of this correction action for subgroups. Performance rating for mathematics is moderate, and we have improved, but below the target. These are some of the things that we are doing in the schools to try to make the difference and bridge that gap in performance. Last year and the year before, we were able to increase some teaching staff because of federal grants. We reduced class size. We started a teaming initiative with specialization implemented in grades 4 and 5 in both. So one teacher basically taught math and science, another teacher taught language arts and social studies. Common planning time for teachers at the elementary school, embedded professional development for teachers, vocabulary focus in writing program implemented in all grades, and the scope and sequence for English language arts curriculum were implemented and aligned with a writing sequence. New everyday math program was purchased, and we had training for our teachers during this school year. A new science program was purchased and implemented this year in grades 3 through 5. We put in 2 intervention blocks so that besides having a regular class in math and in English, they have got an additional 30 minutes for intervention for extra work in those subjects. At the middle school, we also worked on vocabulary and a writing program, the scope and sequence in ELA curriculum, grade level benchmarks, common formative assessments, collaboration among teachers to assess student work and plan instruction, and a new science program was also implemented, grades 6 through 8. How do we eliminate the achievement gap? Fully implement a new program that we're beginning this year at the elementary school called Response to Intervention. Implement enhanced supervision and instructional leadership. Implement the Mass Core curriculum at Wareham High School so that what high school children are asked to know are the same things that they need to know when they get to college. No longer will there be a discrepancy so that when children leave here, they may have to take a class in mathematics that they don't get credit for because the curriculums don't match. Spending alone does not increase achievement, but when the gap in spending mirrors the gap in achievement, we can't do the same things and expect different results. We are the largest employer in town. We feed more people than any restaurant in town. We transport more people than any other service in town. Working together, we can find the resources to fulfill our mission. Our children deserve the best education possible. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Rabinovich. I believe we have a report from Capital Planning.
Good evening. Alan Slavin, co-chair Capital Planning Committee. Capital Planning Committee has prepared this 5-year report. I'll hold a minute. Matt's going to bring something up. We'll start again, thank you. Capital Planning Committee has prepared this 5-year report per requirements of the Wareham Home Rule Charter and bylaws of the town of Wareham for this spring 11 town meeting. We have worked to provide you, the people of Wareham, a report of our needs going forward for the next 5 years. This report includes current inventory of capital assets, expected costs to maintain the same, and any new capital items that will be needed. Between now and the fall town meeting, we will place our report on the town website for you to review and also download. You will also see any changes we make during that time. In this year's report, we have added another component into the mix that we've been missing before, all town-owned buildings. We now can provide a complete picture of Wareham's capital assets and what the cost will be incurring going forward. In prior years, most town-operated property was never listed unless a repair was needed or an emergency. Matt, you want to go ahead and put the big number up?
Mr. Slavin, these reports will be up on the town website, so anyone wishing to go in and see the actual numbers will be able to see that.
Yes, that's what I just said
Thank you.
before.
And the clerk has advised me there will also be a copy of the report on file in her office.
Yes, I gave her one earlier.
Thank you.
As you can see, it's a long list. That's the list of the buildings map. Okay. The number you see on the screen is what we project our capital needs will cost over the next 5 years. I know your immediate reaction is, you've got to be kidding. No, we are not. Can we do this? Of course we can, and we will. This required developing a plan and executing the plan. We started on our plan last year by putting $1.5 million out of the 2.6 listed into capital items that would make the town operate more efficiently and have long-term cost savings. We had planned on putting $1.8 million this year into the project, which would still put us $800,000 behind schedule. Due to the current budgetary situation, we decided to hold our capital requests till the fall 2011 meeting. Just go ahead and scroll that down and we'll keep going. This is the actual request that would be coming for this year. As you can see, this year, with listing everything that we actually have available that we would need to do if there was no restraints, it's $4,243,000. We promised last year that we look at all possible alternatives to meet our capital needs. In working with the town administrator, department heads, other municipalities, agencies, and private businesses, we have explored sharing of equipment between municipalities, leasing alternatives, bonding, renting, and public-private partnership collaborations. We have been making steady progress in these areas and expect to bring forth these at the fall 2011 town meeting. One example that outlines these alternatives is the use of a SCADA system for the sewer department pump stations. In determining future capital needs for that department not covered under enterprise fund, we found that today the sewer department would require 10 additional employees per state DEP guidelines when existing sewer projects are all online. We would have 49 pump stations at that time. The SCADA system including a proper backup, with DEP approval, would cut the number of employees from 10 to 3. Using $50,000 for salary plus benefits per employee, the operating cost would rise by $500,000 for the 10 employees. The SCADA system itself costs $425,000. Having only 3 employees out of the 10 will cut the labor costs by $350,000. Therefore, in the first year, once all the 49 pump stations are up and running, we would save $350,000 in labor, which means the net cost for the SCADA system at 1 year's time is $75,000. At the end of the second year, the labor savings would have paid for the SCADA system, and the operating costs that would have been required under DEP would be reduced by $275,000. From the third year on, we save $350,000 per year. This is what we consider a strong return on investment and good fiscal policy. While Matt's looking for that, I'll start off. Last year, we stated our overriding goal was that of safety to you, the residents, and the town employees. We have one item that we have to come to grips with: school buses. We have spent substantial time in analyzing the costs for the school running the transportation program versus putting the program out to bid. We first had to put together an apples-to-apples costing. Once we had done that, we looked at the transportation revolving account and the SPED programs in order to come up with some numbers. Our current fleet numbers 48 units at this time. 6 buses are out of service. We run 42 buses basically on a daily basis. Due to the current age of our existing fleet, we need to replace 6 buses per year. A bus costs $85,000, which means it's $510,000 a year. For the next 7 years to get us to the point of replacing buses at their ideal life cycle of 7 years. This means we replace 6 buses every year well into the future. During this first 7-year cycle, we will have some buses that will already be 12 to 14 years old before they are replaced. Ideally, with no restrictions at all, we should replace 31 buses now, which is $2.6 million. Basically, that's one hard sell to anybody at this point. We feel one possibility is that the SPED program, the student athletic program, the day trip program, income streams stay with the school, including any Aqua grant programs. These items make up the income side of the transportation revolving account. The school department would retain from the existing fleet those buses that are needed to operate those programs. The balance of the school bus program would be handled by an outside contractor. The bid that was sent out this past year was for 48 2010 to 2011 buses. We think the bid request should average age of the fleet should be 3.5 years rather than brand new, which reduced the bid price. This basically is just an idea that we had come up with doing our analyzing of the costs. We recently spoke with Barry last Thursday, and we'll be meeting in the beginning of May to sit down with the school transportation part and come up with some basic alternatives. So basically the school department, town administrator, board of selectmen can sit down and iron this problem out. This is an item that needs action very shortly. The schools will be back in service again in the fall, and this situation needs to be taken care of. The Capital Planning Committee intends on continuing to bring sound fiscal and prudent planning forward. And basically, we're done, and thank you very much for your time at town meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Slavin. Madam Clerk, on to the next article, please. Article 37. Article 37 will now come before us. May I have a motion, please? Mr. Gray.
Madam Moderator, I move that the Wareham Affordable Housing Trust Fund front the cost of taking the property described in Article 37 in exchange for which the town is authorized to convey its interests in said property to the Wareham Affordable Housing Trust Fund. These properties shall be deed restricted for the longest time allowable by law and used solely for the creation and preservation of affordable housing as defined by Massachusetts general law and with the approval of the Wareham Affordable Housing Trust.
Do I hear a second? I have a second. I have the vote of the Board of Selectmen.
Madam Moderator, the Board of Selectmen voted favorable action 5-0-0.
Thank you, Mr. Holmes. May I have the vote of the FinCom and your report?
The vote of the FinCom was 0 in favor, 9 opposed, and 0 abstained. And our vote reflects that the committee felt the language of the article was too broad-based and presents several technical problems to accomplishing what it proposes. We felt that there were some misprints in the article, too.
Mrs. Bronk, just to make it clear for the clerk, that was 0-9-0, so it was 9 not in favor. That's correct. To speak to the article, Mrs. Ekstrom?
Thank you, Madam Moderator. Brenda Ekstrom, former member of the Wareham Affordable Housing Trust Fund Board. This article is really an advisory article. The Finance Committee is correct that we do not own this land yet. It is in tax title. It has remained in tax title for several years because the town doesn't have the money to try to take it out of tax title. The Affordable Housing Trust was approached to see if, seeing there is money in the trust, if we would be willing to pay for the liens on it, to foreclose on this property so that it could get off the books and get cleared up. The Affordable Housing Trust thought that this was a good opportunity to ask the people of this town if they would take a positive action in finding and realizing the need for affordable housing. And as I said, this is an advisory article because we do not own the property. The Wareham Affordable Housing Trust, a favorable action on this would tell the Affordable Housing Trust that if we used our money to go forward with foreclosing on these properties, that this body going forward in the future would consider giving some part or all of this property to the Affordable Housing Trust. It would have to come back to town meeting. Town meeting would be able to make a decision as to whether it was going to give us 2 parcels or 50 parcels of this property. But this is really just a statement of this body to say that we understand that affordable housing is a need in town, and where the Affordable Housing Trust Fund has the money, that we can help the town get this property so that the town can do something with it. And the Affordable Housing Trust Fund Board would like this body's consideration to give some or part of it in exchange for the money that we'll be giving the town property so that we can address affordable housing in this town.
Thank you. Is there anything further to be said on Article 37? Gentleman on my left.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. Bob Brady, Precinct 6. 2 issues come to mind. First of all, isn't the proper disposition of tax title property to auction it? I'm not aware that the town has the option or opportunity to simply buy it. The other issue is that I believe the law that dictates the use of Affordable Housing Trust Fund money is limited annually. I think we can only spend up to 10% of whatever the balances are in any annual year. Is that or is that not true?
Someone to answer the question?
To answer the question?
To answer the question, Mrs.
Yes, it is true.
Just to answer the question, thank you.
Well, the first part, though, also, when he was saying, okay.
Is there anything further to be said on the question? Mr. Schneider?
Mike Schneider, to answer the previous speaker's question, the Affordable Housing Trust is exempt by statute from the 30B requirements in the sale of property. I would actually rise to amend this article to remove the word convey and state to see if the town would vote to place in the care, custody, and control of.
So your motion would be, I move that the Wareham Affordable Housing Trust Fund.
Excuse me.
Just a second. Mr. Schneider, can you read your motion? And actually, can you put it into writing? I just want to be sure that Matt has it correctly. If you would just read it again.
My motion would be to see if the town would place into the care, custody, and control of the Wareham Housing Trust Fund said parcels of land known as the DePaulo Subon Company, Stryer, and Marotic properties. As part of the subdivision identified as Seawood Springs Development identified as follows. Map 114A, lots 1001, 1002, 1003, 1004, Lot 5, 82, 100, Map 114B, lots 1000, 101, 105 to 109 inclusive, 112 to 124 inclusive, 126 to 135 inclusive, 141 to 145 inclusive, 155 to 215 inclusive, 219, 88, 89, 93, 94, 95, 99. Map 114C2, lots 300, 304, 319, and map 114, lots 1000, 379, 383, 394, in exchange for the trust paying the costs associated with the takings. These properties shall be deed restricted for the longest time allowable by law and used solely for the creation and preservation of affordable housing as defined by Massachusetts general law and with the approval of the Wareham Affordable Housing Trust, or to do or act or take any action relative thereto.
Do I hear a second? Okay, so in essence, Mr. Snyder, you're just crossing out will convey and replacing place in the care, custody, and control of the Wareham Affordable Housing Trust Fund. Is that correct?
That's correct, Madam Moderator.
Thank you. To speak to the amendment, Mr. Snyder?
Madam Moderator, I think Mrs. Ekstrom, when she spoke earlier, was pretty clear in that these properties are not serving the town well now, in the fact that we currently have outstanding taxes on them. It would be a tremendous idea for the town to be able to get control of these parcels, if possible. Take the land cost pretty much out of the fact for developers so that we can provide some affordable housing to the town and actually take some of these properties off the balance sheet and provide some income to the town.
Thank you, Mr. Snyder. On my left.
Hi, Teresa O'Neill in Shell Point. First of all, I'm wondering how many people in the audience actually know where these properties are located. I certainly don't. A map would be helpful. I also want to say that that's an awful lot of property. I know currently taxes are owed on it, but if we can take them over and retain ownership from Wareham and then sell them at highest and best use and use some of the proceeds to contribute to the Affordable Housing Trust Fund to take a whole, I don't know in terms of acreage or anything like that, I don't know the size of these lots, I don't know where they're located, I don't know if they're in a business district that could perhaps be best suited for commercial development rather than housing. I mean, I think there's way too much that is not known here to vote on this article. And I do agree if the town does take over the property, they should be
they should either go through the general practice of auctioning them off or combine them to make them much better suited for a big development or something like that. But again, I don't know where they're located. So, thank you.
I'm not sure if it was Mrs. Donahue or Mrs. Bronk. Was it Mrs. Donahue first? Mrs. Bronk. Mrs. Bronk.
I agree 100% with the previous speaker, only because I had the opportunity to look at a map at all of these properties. And there's a lot more involved than what you're seeing here, these specific ones that are issued. And I believe there are a couple of mistakes that in the article itself. So I would urge people to look at a map, have a professional come in here and show us this area and show us who owns what, and we could have a clear, concise picture, because I really think the body would be well served to see how many lots that this really encounters. And I'm almost 100% sure that 2 of these lots are in question and aren't even correct. So that's part of the reason the FinCom just couldn't vote a favorable on this.
Thank you, Mrs. Bronk. On my right.
Madam Moderator, through you to the body and to Mrs. Bronk, if I could first ask a question and then make my comment. Mrs. Bronk, which are the 2 lots that you think are in question?
I believe 95 is one of them. And I'm not particularly sure of the other one. I'd have to get back to the map and look.
Thank you, Mrs. Bronk.
Thank you. I would first of all like to say that for those of you who don't know about this property, it's been on the tax title books for probably 20 years now. The taxes have not been collected. We will never get the taxes on these properties. They're checkerboarded properties up in Charge Pond Road, way up close to the Plymouth line. In that neighborhood, I think there are a few people who live there who know exactly where they are, and they've been sitting there for years and years and years. And this is an opportunity for us to take those lots, front the costs, to place them in the care of the Affordable Housing Trust, and in fact, turn them over and get some houses built on them. These developers, the developers who defaulted on these properties, are never coming through with a single penny of taxes. They're not the type of property that could necessarily be auctioned off either, but they are the kind of property that you could put some affordable houses on. So if you haven't driven up Charge Pond Road recently, that's where they are, and they are checkerboarded. They were checkerboarded on purpose by the developer. So this is a long-standing issue that the town has had, and this is really a rather good solution to the problem. Thank you.
Gentleman on my left.
Thank you again, Madam Moderator. Bob Brady. First of all, I see an awful lot of unknowns. To front a cost, one, when we don't own the property, why we have waited 20 years to address the fact that the taxes are delinquent is of a greater concern. We have plenty of people that have lost their homes to tax title taking that no way were given 20 years grace in order to come clean. So the first question would be, why have we waited so long to take these properties, if in fact it's been 20 years? 2, what is the balance in this trust fund? And what are we being asked to front? How much money? I believe we're limited. We don't own the property. We have no idea what we're being asked to spend or commit to. I think there's a lot of unknowns, and accordingly, I would support the Finance Committee's recommendation, and that is to not support the article. Have the people come back to this body and give us some information so that we know what we're talking about and what we're voting on.
Thank you, Mr. Brady.
To answer the question,
Mr. Brady, were those specific questions that just, I believe it was a general comment? He didn't have a question. On my right?
Susan Barrier, Charge Pond Road. I am fully aware of where these lots are, and like the woman before me said, I'm sorry, they are checkerboarded lots, and correct me if I'm wrong, they're all average 12,000 square foot lots. They're not all together. property up there is zoned R130. Is that it, the watershed protected area? We're supposed to be protecting the water that supplies this town, not putting multi-unit dwellings on it. We have no water up there. The nearest fire hydrant is a mile away from any of these. We have no road. We haven't had a paved road in ever, actually. It's never been finished. There's a lot of reasons why a multi-unit dwelling, I'm not sure if you're talking about one particular spot or several different locations, because these maps, I have not looked at them in a couple of years, but I don't think these are all in one section. I think they're sporadically placed. Is that right? So to say that they're low-income housing, I would like to ask you if you are talking about multi-unit dwellings, more than one house per lot. If each lot will be 3 acres as required by the current zoning. And if you plan to bring water up there, if you can put out a fire if it comes. So I think those are all very important issues before we agree tonight to pass this Article 37. Thanks.
On my left. And again, if we could just keep 2 people in the aisle for safety reasons. On my left.
Liz McDonald, Precinct 6. These were tax title lots? Yes, no? We just had a tax and property title auction. Why were they not bought then?
Someone to answer the question? Mr. Camerano?
The town actually needs money to finish taking the ownership of these tax titles, and the reason they weren't is that the town doesn't have the money to actually take full possession of these properties, and they feel that the value at auction at the moment and the previous years before didn't warrant the taking of them. So are they in tax title? Yes. Does the town actually own them? No.
Thank you, Mr. Camerano.
My question was, if they were in tax title, why did the Affordable Housing Trust Fund not purchase them during the auction?
They weren't auctioned, I
believe. They were never at auction, but like I said, the town does not own them yet. Thank you.
So how are we going to get these then?
Well, if you read the article, they're asking the trust fund to put up the money to take the land, to help the town purchase the land out of tax title.
Well, I understand, but the Wareham Affordable Housing Trust Fund doesn't have to come to town meeting and ask to buy property. They can purchase it themselves. So I don't understand why they're asking. I don't understand.
To answer the question, Mrs. Catulli?
The idea is for the Wareham Housing Trust Fund to pay the money to get the tax title. They're not in tax title right now. That's the problem. Yes, they are deficient, but the lawyers' fees, et cetera, to push that through, the town doesn't have the money. So that was what the Wareham Affordable Housing, what they were going to do was put that money up to push the rest of the legal issues through to actually get the tax title through. They're not going to purchase the property itself.
Does that answer your question, Ms.?
Yes, that answers my question, and then it creates another question. If the Wareham Affordable Housing Trust is not actually buying property or land or houses, is it legal for the Wareham Affordable Housing Trust Fund to put up this money?
Council will answer that question.
Madam Moderator, through you to the previous speaker. Sure, if they want to put up money, if they want to give us money to put these into tax title and then take it through the whole process of foreclosing on the tax title, of waiting out whether the taxpayer will redeem the property out of tax title by paying the back taxes. If they want to put up the money to do that, is it legal? Sure.
Is that a Mass General law? Is that a town bylaw?
Mrs. McDonald, if you could direct your questions through the moderator, and then I'll see if anyone
Sorry,
chooses
to
to
the moderator,
answer.
to town council.
Madam Moderator, through you to the previous speaker, if the previous speaker herself wanted to donate money for, and I'm not suggesting that you do this, by the way, but if you wanted to write a check to the town to have the tax title attorneys put this through land court and get it foreclosed, you could do that. It's basically called a gift. And you could specify as part of your donation that that's the way you wanted to do it. So is it legal for the trust to put up this money with possibly no expectation of getting any property out of it? Yes, it's absolutely legal. Now, let me just explain that last remark. As I'm sure Mr. Foster could explain to the meeting, if a property is delinquent, at that point it's just delinquent. To actually get it into tax title, there's a formal proceeding that has to occur in court. That's called putting it into tax title. Ultimately, the property is foreclosed upon as a judgment of the court. And even then, once it's been foreclosed upon, the taxpayer has a certain period of time, and off the top, I don't recall whether it's 1 year or 2 years, but it's all in Chapter 60, Section 62, I think, within which the taxpayer has the right to pay the delinquent money and whatever fees have been accumulated. And even still, after all that, the taxpayer could get the property back, notwithstanding the fact that the town had tax title, foreclosure, and so forth. So, you know, the fact that the trust advances this money to get it up into land court and get all these things happening, it could advance, just pick a number out of the air, $20,000 for all of these described properties. At the end of the day, if the taxpayer redeemed, if the land court for whatever reason felt that they didn't want to foreclose on it, the trust could get nothing back. That's how it works.
Madam Moderator, Mass General Law, Chapter 44, Section 55C, deals with the Affordable Housing Trust. And I don't see where I mean, it might be, but that's what I'm asking. Where in the Mass General Laws does it state that it is allowable for the Wareham Affordable Housing Trust to pay off or give a gift when they're not getting property or real estate with income restrictions?
To answer the question. Council will try to answer the question.
Madam Moderator, through the previous speaker, you've correctly identified the statute, and in the list of subsections, specifically subsection C, subsection 1, actually it would be 2, and 4, and 5, and it's this page here, possibly 9, possibly 10, possibly 13, subsection 14, possibly subsection 15. All of those sections conceivably could allow the trust to do the sort of thing that it's proposing to do.
You have about 20 seconds, Mrs. McDonald.
I'm all set with the possibles. Thank you.
Gentleman on my right.
Okay. Good evening.
Just a minute, on my right, out front.
Sorry, Dick. Good evening. For the record, John Churchill, Precinct 5. And basically, I had a similar question as Liz McDonald. I'd like to address, through you, Madam Town Moderator, I'd like to address McDonald. Mr. Bowen, can the tax taking go directly to the housing trust? I thought, as Mr. Brady was saying, basically that the tax, when you take a property for taxes, it goes up for auction. So it almost sounds like tax credits to me. And why does the Affordable Housing Trust have the only ability to pay these back taxes? I heard the gift statement. it sounds like, you know, what you see on TV essentially, where if you take this, you'll get the benefit of the property. That's one question that I had, because I thought always it has to go for auction. Number two, I have actually three. As stated by Ms. Braun, Article 37, map 114A, 100, lot 100, there's no lot 100 on map 114A. Also on 114B, it talks about, actually on 114A, actually back to that one, lot 5, it actually should be 5 through 87 inclusive. What they're indicating there, 5 and 82, are the associated lot. They're not including the associated lots with what's on file down at the town collector's office. So there is some issues with not having a map to represent this. I actually have a map, color-coded, if anybody would care to see, of who owns what property. We've done a lot in that area. I own an engineering firm in town. There's about 200 acres associated with this what's being requested here tonight. We've done a 18-lot subdivision for Mr. Murata, and it's about a 100-acre parcel.
You have 10 seconds, Mr. Chairman.
Of what's included on these parcels. So I would love to see you go to town for auction and someone get the benefit of an 18-lot subdivision and us get paid as residents in town for what the correct value of this property is.
Time. Mr. Paulson.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. I'd like to make an observation, and then I'll tell you why I voted against this. The observation would be that if you look at the votes on this, it was 0-9-0. Very unusual for the FinCom to be that unanimous in terms of their negative vote. We sometimes split on positive votes, but very, very unusual for all of us, and for different reasons perhaps. And as I said, I'll give you my reason in a moment, to be in accord with one another totally. My reason for voting against this goes to Mr. Brady's suggestion. I thought and think that what we should have done and still should do is to get some opinion as to what it would take or cost the town to take this through tax title. There's got to be a figure or a set of figures. Then, once we have that in hand, we should say, or have somebody come to us and say, my thinking on the value of this land is such and such. Then here in town meeting, we could sit and say, all right, it's going to cost, I'll make up a figure, $10,000. Make it $50,000. But the value of the land could be $300,000, or it could be $20,000. All I'm suggesting is that we don't have the figures. And now I'm speaking for myself.
30 seconds.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. I'm speaking for myself. I'd like to have the figures. I'd like to know the cost, and I'd like to know the potential benefit to the town. Thank you very much.
On my right.
Thank you. Madam Moderator, through you, someone had mentioned earlier, why wasn't this taken 20 years ago? The reason why that this wasn't taken 20 years ago, but then when you see a house foreclosed on, it seems to be taken in 2 or 3 years. It's because there is a value, I hate to say it this way, but there is a value to a property with a house on it that they go for higher money. This, as a previous speaker had said, there is no water up in this area. There are no fire hydrants up in this area. And so in order to build up there, someone that working with the Affordable Housing Trust, someone coming in would do things that would be favorable to the community. If this gets sold at tax title, there is a very good chance that you will get a 40B developer to come in, and the concern of a previous speaker asking, will there be multi-unit dwellings? The Affordable Housing Trust has no intention of doing that. But if you get a 40B developer that comes in, they can do anything they want because they get to waive local zoning ordinances. And I just also wanted to say, is to another previous speaker, that she is correct. The Wareham Affordable Housing Trust does not need the body's permission to spend their money on this. The reason why the Affordable Housing Trust brought it here was to get a sense of the community, to see if you people realized or felt that there was a need for affordable housing. 30 seconds. And to satisfy that need. And if you are in favor of that, as I said, this has to come back. If there is going to be any exchange of property to the trust. But the Wareham Affordable Housing Trust, I think their feeling is that they were not going to put their money out to knowing that they weren't getting anything back. Thank you.
I believe the gentleman on my right was next.
Tom Bickey, Precinct 3. I rise in opposition to this article, and I'd ask the body to defeat it first off, which is typical for a number of these articles, there's clearly a lack of due diligence on the part of the people bringing this forward. Second of all, because the Wareham Affordable Trust would try to buy all of these properties, they'd end up being a developer in a sense, and they would have to build more than 10 houses. They'd be constrained by the nitrogen zero article that we passed earlier in the year, so they would have to buy a cranberry bog or do some other ridiculous thing that would be required of them since there isn't sewer or septic up there. And thirdly, I think there's an alternative solution to this dilemma, and that is we put the property up for auction and give the Affordable Trust offer of first refusal. So whatever the community is willing to pay for that property, if the Affordable Trust is willing to pay a comparable amount to whatever the general public will pay for that lot, then it's a win-win for both the town and the Affordable Trust. They get the property and the town gets the maximum revenue out of it. So I say defeat this article, let's get some due diligence and come back with something that's meaningful with information that we can actually vote on. Thank you.
On my left.
Madam Moderator, I'd like to move the question on the amendment and the main motion.
One at a time. We have a motion before us to move the question on the amendment. Requires a 2/3 vote. I will try for unanimous. All those in favor of moving the question on the amendment, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Passes by unanimous vote to move the question on the amendment. We now have the amendment before us. Which I believe would be to see if the town would place into care, custody, and control of the Wareham Affordable Housing Trust Fund said parcels of land known as the DePaulo, Subon Company, Straya, and Murata properties as part of the subdivision identified in Seawood Spring development identified as follows and exactly as printed in your warrant. This requires a majority vote for the amendment. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed? No. The amendment fails. We now will go back
Madam Moderator, could I have a count on the amendment, please?
If 7 people would like to stand to request a count and doubt the vote. Will the tellers please come forward? All those in favor of the amendment, please raise your cards and have the tellers count. Section 1.
Section 1, 5.
Section 2.
12.
Section 3.
27, 27.
Section 4.
10.
All those opposed of the amendment, please raise your cards. Section 1.
Section 130, 3-0.
Section 130, 3-0. Section 2.
20.
Section 220, 2-0. Section 3.
62, 6-2.
Section 362. Section 4.
Section 435.
Section 435. Have 54 in the affirmative and 147 in the negative. The amendment fails. We now will return to the main motion. The main motion was to move that the Wareham Affordable Housing Trust Fund front the cost of taking the property described in Article 37, in exchange for which the town is authorized to convey its interest in said property to the Wareham Affordable Housing Trust Fund. These properties shall be deed restricted for the longest time allowable by law and used solely for the creation and preservation of affordable housing as defined by Mass General Law and with the approval of the Wareham Affordable Housing Trust. This does require a two-thirds vote to convey the property. I will try for unanimous. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed? No. Motion is defeated by a majority. Actually, it fails to receive the two-thirds vote, is the better way. It fails to receive a two-thirds vote. Article 42. Yes. Article 42. Article 42 is the article to amend the general bylaws of the town of Wareham by deleting in its entirety Division 6, Article 2A, nitrogen net zero. Because I have a husband who has a business related to the industry, I did seek counsel to find out if I was in any conflict of interest. I have been advised that I am not in conflict because this is a matter of general legislative concern. However, because there are some people who may feel that there is an appearance of a conflict, I am going to recuse myself from this article, and I am going to turn this article over to the deputy moderator.
Mr. Moderator?
On Article 42, is there a motion?
Mr. Moderator, I'd like to be recognized.
Motion.
Mr. Moderator, I was standing and I asked to be recognized.
Do you have a point of order?
Seeing the hour, Mr. Moderator, I would like to make a motion that we extend town meeting beyond the hour of 10 o'clock until we have debated this article and decided this article.
Is there a second on this? Second. All in favor of this, please say aye. All opposed? No. The motion is defeated.
Mr. Moderator.
Proceed.
Mr. Moderator, I hate to ask you this, but given the hour of 9:44, and given the fact that this body doesn't do anything in 14 minutes, I make a motion that we adjourn town meeting until tomorrow night at 7 p.m. at the Wareham High School.
There's been a motion to adjourn at 7 o'clock at this same location. Do we have a second? Second. All in favor? All opposed? It's unanimous. Adjourned until tomorrow at 7 o'clock.